And then God goes, okay, let me wrap things up by talking to the kiddos. Because I've got one thing for them, and this is so important. If you're like 18 or under, or you still live in your parents' home, then this applies to you. Because what you do plays a huge role in the happiness of the home. And so God includes you. He says, you're like a partner in the home. There's one thing I've got for you to do too, and if you will do it, it will really make things go so much happier at home. And God says, okay, here it is. What you need to do is obey your parents. Now, is that an antiquated notion or what? I mean, I tried to do some Greek work in there. Like, well, the word obey really means debate with. But I did all sorts of Greek work, and the word means obey. It means comply to your parents' wishes. It means do what they say with a good attitude. And God's just looking, I mean, if God's like smart at all, he's going, you can really help your home be happy if you will obey. And you know what? I know. Some of you that fit that category I talked about, and God's talking to you here, I know what you're thinking. You had parents just like I did. Old-fashioned, unnecessarily restrictive, out of touch, unaware, unreasonable. I know I had the same kind of parents. So did your parents. Seems like at some point all of us thought that about our parents. And you know what? Some of you have parents that have made major, major mess-ups in their lives. And you know. And some of your parents, even to this day, have some pretty big flaws running through them. And they're maybe even kind of dysfunctional. And you're looking at that and going, oh yeah, oh God, fine. Yeah, obey your parents. Well, if my parents were reasonable or in touch or hadn't messed up so much or didn't have big problems, then I would. But God, if you knew who my parents were, as though he doesn't. You know, it's like when God wrote this 2,000 years ago, he went, oh, I forgot about that parent that you're going to have. And yet God, he just universally says this. It's obey. Unless they are asking you to do something that is morally wrong, then you are morally obligated to obey your parents. And I want to give you 2 reasons why it's a good idea to do it no matter who your parents are. One is this. Your parents have been where you are, but you've never been where your parents are. They've lived 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. You've never lived 30, 40, 50. They've walked the road already, and therefore they, through experience, know some things you can't know because you haven't walked the road of life long enough yet. And they may be flawed, and they may have their problems, but there is a measure of wisdom because of experience that comes with them that could aid you tremendously if you just obey. And here's another reason why. Because God promised he'll reward you if you do it. He'll reward you if you do it. I can remember times when one of my kids would come to me and they would talk about a particular teacher they had that, for some reason, little kid's perspective, that teacher just doesn't like me. They make me do this, they make me do that, they single me out, I don't get treated, all these things. And one of the things that Sandy and I used to do is say, okay, here's what. I just want you to do exactly what that teacher asked you to do. And do it with a good attitude no matter what. And if you'll do that, then you know what? We'll take you here, or we'll buy you that as a reward for being good in that classroom, even when it's tough. And my kids found a way to kind of buckle down and have a good attitude and comply, even though there might have been friction with the teacher, because what they knew is, Dad's going to make sure, Mom's going to make sure that we're rewarded for doing this thing in the classroom. God kind of looks at you and says, hey, look, if you just do what your parents ask, I promise, I'll reward you for it. I will do things in your life. Here's one promise he says specifically. You'll live longer. Do you know that's right in the Ten Commandments? Obey your parents that your days may be prolonged in the land. And studies have now shown that cooperative kids learn certain skills and undergo less stress in their formative years that carries on for decades and actually enables them to live longer, healthier lives. Okay. Now, there's no way in a one morning's talk we're covering everything that we need to know or ought to know to make it work. We're just going, hey, you know what? God, in one little portion of Scripture, said, look, here's one thing. But it's a foundational thing. It's a big thing. If you can each just do this one thing, you'll renovate your family. And you'll create relational, emotional currents that will carry you to happiness, healthiness, and enjoyment in the home. So what do you say, families? Let's